It's been a bit of a rough bit of time for Xbox and Xbox fans. I think a lot of us are kind of looking at it and maybe shaking our heads a bit. Just to be quite clear, I feel like Microsoft is in a very, very bad situation, but that doesn't mean that good things can't happen or that things can't really turn around. Like, anything can happen in this industry, and to be honest with you, there's a lot of things that can kind of change in a moment's notice. So hopefully we can get some information from that, and hopefully we can see Microsoft do some interesting things. Like I said, I'm not giving up hope right now. I hope that they can actually go out there and change some minds and things like that. But what I would like to see is that Microsoft maybe kind of revert and come up with some kind of real plan for Xbox, right? And the reason why I say real plan is right now nobody knows what's going on. Is the game staying? Is it going? Like, just come out and say, okay, well, we're gonna do this, and this. If it's all games, then it's all games, right? If you're gonna do some kind of limited exclusivity, say that, right? It's like there's so much up in the air right now that people don't really know what the deal is and what's going to happen, like, in the future, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, it really kind of comes down to what people want. And if Microsoft is going to continue to do things one way or the other, I don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see what happens with that. What's up, everybody? I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I certainly appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel, means a lot to me personally. If you guys do like the content, please remember I try to do daily video game content, and I try to make it as fun and informative as I possibly can. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm always excited to see what's going to happen, and again, I think the games are the things that Xbox fans should focus on right now. And the reason why I say that is because it's the most important thing, and it's also the thing that drives us together as gamers, and at the end of the day, yeah, there's a lot of bad things going on with Xbox, but the games are still important, and if you have an Xbox right now, you'll still be able to play the games and things, and I think that's the most important thing. So what's one of the biggest upcoming games that Microsoft has? Of course, it is the Elder Scrolls 6. It didn't show up at Microsoft's Game Showcase despite the game's announcement now being over 7 years old. Windows Central reporter Jez Gordon believes that the timeline for a new trailer may still be relatively close. Speaking on his podcast, Gordon discussed the lack of an appearance for Elder Scrolls 6 during the event, adding that despite the game's no-show, a new look at the upcoming RPG is getting closer. Here's a bit what he says. He said that it's being demonstrated internally at Xbox Bethesda, saying, quote, "There was a good reason why I thought it was going to be there, and it was because that I'd heard that they'd been internal trailers and they'd been demonstrating it internally. So I'm kind of like, if they're demonstrated it internally and I'm hearing about it, chances are that maybe it's going further afield now." So after the podcast, the co-host speaks on the subject for a little bit. Gordon adds, "It's getting closer, despite the game's omission from this year's summer's event. Clearly, for now at least, Xbox and Bethesda aren't quite ready to showcase more of Elder Scrolls 6 at this time. We've not really heard any developments on the hugely anticipated title for a while now either. Truth be told, developer Bethesda Game Studios was working on Starfield for a good number of years, with more of its attention now turning to Elder Scrolls 6. We do know that one lucky fan will end up being an NPC in the game whenever it does release, which is kind of neat. But also you have to keep in mind that that they're supposedly still working on content for Starfield, so who really knows when or if we'll see a situation where they get kind of a game or whatever the case may be. And then, of course, if people are working on, a PlayStation version of Starfield, we might have to kind of deal with that, though. But it's like, again, I know there's a lot of negativity surrounding Xbox, and some of it is warranted, and some of these things that are being said are definitely, in my opinion, 100% truth. But we also have to look at the fact that, for right now at least, if you have an Xbox, you're going to be able to play these games, and it still makes it so the Game Pass is something of a big bonus, in my opinion. I would love to see Microsoft continue to go on the offensive, but at the same point in time, is that going to be something that they can actually do? I think that's going to be kind of a question as well. And Microsoft, let's just be real. One of the things that was said the other day, which I covered this on the channel, was what that one of the original people from the original Xbox team was talking about Xbox, and how she wasn't thrilled with the direction that they're going in. And she mentioned that this current Xbox team doesn't have the wherewithal or the capabilities to actually ship the games that they're trying to put out. And she mentioned correctly that a lot of games that they've announced have been in development 5, 6, 7 years, and they still haven't shipped, and that's a big problem going forward. So again, the things that she said wasn't necessarily wrong. I know there's going to be some pushback against it, but she was really just saying, hey, there's a lot of PR stuff that you shouldn't buy into, and that, and she's right. Listen, if 343 Studios, now Halo Studios, had, thousands of people working on just one version of a Halo game for years and years and years, how's that going to work for, added versions, for PlayStation and, maybe Nintendo or whatever the case may be? I think that that's going to be a very big problem going forward. So we'll see how this kind of works out, and if it's something that can kind of change in the future, whatever. But I do think that what's happening right now is Microsoft, I firmly believe this, right? Microsoft wants out of hardware. They would much rather have people in playing their games through PC or playing their games through like the cloud or whatever, because then they don't have to create hardware. And people don't understand this. Hardware is extremely expensive, right? It is. It's just extremely expensive to be able to continue to kind of use and do, and people just don't get that. It's not just, okay, here's this console, which right now, Xboxes were being sold at a loss. Some are saying, Microsoft was saying $100, $200 loss per console, and even when they sell, and then you have all the R&D and all that kind of stuff. So literally, it's a loss leader. So Microsoft doesn't want to do that anymore, and that's probably why they're doing the things that they want to do. Now, I'm willing to kind of wait and see what they announce. Maybe they still announce a more traditional console. I don't see how they can't announce a traditional console. I don't see how you can't not do that, because you can subsidize that still, versus if you announce something with PC stores on it, you can't subsidize it at all, and you have to lower, you can't, at that point you have to cut out the pay to play online. You also have to cut back on the price of Game Pass by $10 a month, because hey, console gamers are paying $10 extra a month on Game Pass to be able to play online. Well, if you're offering Steam stores and these other stores, those people aren't paying to play online. It's just a PC. So I think Microsoft tends to be able to would have to lose a ton of money at that particular aspect. But again, I think that it really just kind of comes down to what Microsoft wants to do and what they're willing to kind of do in the future. But knowing that cool stuff like Elder Scrolls 6 is on the way, of course, don't think it's going to be exclusive. Get that out of your minds right now. There is no chance that this game is going to be exclusive or anything near that, and it's probably only going to get a physical release on the PlayStation. So yeah, I mean, us as Xbox fans have to kind of understand that Microsoft doesn't necessarily care that much about the Xbox platform itself anymore. Some people just go, well, they only care about selling games or whatever, and that's something interesting, because Mikey Barrow, who used to work at Microsoft, was saying something similar, you can't just dip your toes into this stuff. You've got to either do it or not do it, and I think Microsoft is much closer to not doing things than actually doing them. So we'll see how that kind of works out for everybody. But games are always good. At least for the next couple of years, it looks like we're going to have a solid list of games from Microsoft to kind of play and things like that. And like I said, that's an exciting prospect at the very least, because the games are the most important thing going forward. forward. So very curious to hear what you guys think about this, though. Are you interested in the Elder Scrolls 6? Do you think Xbox will even be a thing by that point? I'm very curious to hear what everybody thinks about that, and just in general the kind of state of Xbox. It's sort of a weird situation to be in right now, and hopefully Microsoft can do some things to change their outlook a little bit. I would love to see that. I'd love to see them actually try to fight and do something that surprises people, surprises their own fans and things. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Like it, share it, subscribe, rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.